Thank you, Ruth, not just for introducing me, but also for being catalyst to bring about this very important event and many other events that the President's Foundation for the Wellbeing of Society is continuously conducting. Well, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, thank you for joining us for this evening's annual commemoration of Holocaust Remembrance Day. Thank you. I must thank also the representatives from the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam for their assistance to facilitate this event and for accepting our invitation to join us. I would also like to thank Your Excellencies, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany and the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. It is also a pleasure to welcome Madame Hadar Halevi and His Excellency Mr. Giovanni De Vito, former Ambassador of Italy to Malta, who have joined us too this evening. Let me also thank the representative present here today from the Yad Vashem School for Holocaust Studies in Israel, who has been involved in school visits over the past few days to highlight the importance of Holocaust education. I would also like to acknowledge the contributions of our young people from the Children's Council within the President's Foundation for the Wellbeing of Society. Our children will be taking center stage later on this evening to read from Anne Frank's diary, both from the English and Maltese translations. The interest that has been expressed by our children and young people at every Holocaust remembrance over the last few years gives me much hope. These remembrances should always be a statement in favor of peace and inclusion. These remembrances must be an opportunity to remember the pain and suffering of the millions of people who were treated in the most inhumane of ways in the past. These remembrances must be an reaffirmation of our willingness to continuously work for peace. This is essential because we know that human memory is short and quite selective. Unfortunately, the world is still experiencing the erosion of human rights, the resurgence of ideologies of division, the scourge of conflicts and wars, the displacement of so many families, and the death of so many millions across the globe. We often talk about the power of change, yet I wonder whether humanity has been truly changed by the legacy of our past. For this reason, the commemoration of the Holocaust cannot be merely a one-off event. The commemoration of the Holocaust must create in us the urgent willingness for effective action in favor of peace. Our acknowledgement of the suffering which the Holocaust represents must be translated into a firm commitment to promote and to prioritize the dignity and the well-being of all people who are experiencing precarity, vulnerability, discrimination, and abuse. Education is key to achieve a future that is free of such injustices. By educating new generations of children, young people, and educators, we can better the chances for our future generations to work for peace and to live in a peaceful and respectful world where each and every one of us is treated as a valuable collaborator. I would therefore like to encourage our authorities to take up peace studies as an integral part of our educational curriculum. It is in this way that we can ensure that a culture of peace can be built for our generation and for future generations. This year we have interviewed Holocaust survivor Eva Schloss, who is also Anne Frank's stepsister. The video interview with Eva Schloss will be shown later this evening. Moreover, this year, the President's Foundation has collaborated with the Yad Vashem School for Holocaust Studies. During the last few days, the Foundation has visited many schools and reached hundreds of children and educators to share the knowledge and lessons learned from the Holocaust. The importance of education is also echoed by the United Nations and its Holocaust Outreach Program this year. The chosen theme, entitled Holocaust Remembrance and Education, Our Shared Responsibility, sums up the message we want to convey, which is that Holocaust education is our shared responsibility and our commitment to build peace. This theme also highlights the universal dimension of the Holocaust, so that future generations will firmly reject all forms of racism and violence. I am convinced that the Holocaust has much to teach us about the danger of extremism and the prevention of violent discrimination in today's world. We should be aware of the dangers of populist discourse, which is returning in our world today. Such discourse thrives on fear and scaremongering, with devastating consequences for countless people. I truly believe that we need to work together as a society to increase awareness about the danger of such discourse. All people of goodwill must stand together to counter the efforts of spreading deliberate misinformation that fuels extremism, that encourages hatred, and which incites violence. This Remembrance Day is an opportunity to reflect on how we can come together to share a more powerful message of peace and inclusion. It is also an opportunity to pay our respects to the millions who were murdered during the Holocaust, including Jews, members of minority groups, LGBTIQ people, persons with disabilities, political activists, and many more. The tragedies of the Holocaust must remind us of everyone's rights to live freely from discrimination. These rights must be defended at all costs, and we all have a responsibility to ensure that these rights are upheld for everyone and everywhere. Each and every one of us, and the international community at large, has the responsibility to champion the rights of persecuted people, so as to ensure that the due respect to minorities and vulnerable groups is given in our daily lives. We must all be aware that millions of people across the globe face daily threats. Many are fleeing wars and persecution and are the targets of inhumane actions based on hatred and intolerance. But there are also people around us in the communities where we live that similarly feel mistreated, unwelcome, and excluded. Let us keep in mind also all those people around us who suffer bullying, domestic violence, prejudice, and other forms of abuse. This is also violence and has no place in a culture of peace. Therefore, we must act on the lessons learned and remind ourselves of our shared obligation to ensure everyone's right to live free from discrimination with equal protection under the law. For this reason, I believe that we must do more to promote the concept of dignity and respect in our lives. It is a fundamental component of all the work we do as people of goodwill to secure peace, solidarity, and well-being in our communities and our nations. The reality of human dignity rests at the heart of universal human rights. Human dignity transcends across the barriers of socioeconomic status, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, and religion. When we fail to acknowledge, to respect, and to celebrate the dignity of others, we are the ones who lose our dignity. Faced with increasing global uncertainty, we must respond with determined action, with powerful conviction, with courage and strength. I would like to encourage everyone to become tireless champions for the dignity of all people, whoever they are and wherever they are in the world. It is in this way that we will be building peace and well-being for the benefit of both our present and future generations. Thank you.